Edward, last time you were here, we were talking about alimony.
Yes.
An evolving thing here in New Jersey, or is it started the status quo since the last time you were here?
Everything's pretty much status quo. I've given it a lot of thought since we spent time talking about it. And right now, the Blue Ribbon panel is in the process of analyzing the law. But one thing I wanted to make clear to our audience and the listeners out there, the two things that the law is really going to address is, number one, what does permanent alimony actually mean? And number two, and rightfully so, and this is where the law is antiquated, is to address cohabitation of the recipient of alimony. Right now, it's an area of the law that I find to be radically unfair to the payor of alimony. In Massachusetts, what they did, they just made it easy. 6 months, you can prove the cohabitation, alimony ends. Now, some people will argue, well, that's a little too much the other way.
Yeah.
But the way it is now, you have to hire a private investigator. Long story short, Bert, you're tens of thousands of dollars into this. You have to keep paying through all this time because you have to follow a court order until another court order comes out.
Mm-hmm.
And my experience is wildly, a vast majority, 99.9% of these cases usually settle in some sort of modification, shorten the years, shorten the amount paid.
Yeah.
I had one case settle where we went to court on our trial date. We're ready to set up, ready to go in front of the judge. Other lawyer brings me outside, said, I've got a settlement offer for you. I said, what is it? She said, my client's going to marry your boyfriend. Case is over.
Just like that.
Because alimony terminates upon the remarriage.
Right.
And that's how the case settled. And my guy just looks at me and says, so I just paid all this money, go through all this. I'm sweating bullets. I'm wearing a suit. I'm all upset. And she's going to marry the guy after all? I'm like, hey, it could be worse.
Yeah, yeah.
Could have lost.
Yeah.
You're sending the best wedding gift of anybody that
That's
way.
true.
You're off the hook, pal.
That's true. Permanent alimony now is just what it sounds like?
Well, again, say a fellow like myself. I have a sit-down job. I have a job that if I keep my wits about me, which some of my friends out there say you've already lost them, Ed, but sincerely, I keep my wits about me. My brain's still as sharp as ever. I can work 65, 70, 75 years old, and a court could order me to continue working. And for reasons we discussed, the price of life insurance, why should I not be allowed to retire if I can? Or I desire to. It's my life. And I'm now heading towards the twilight years of my life. It's onerous that I'm forced to work.
Yeah, I can't imagine that, but yeah.
So to me, I wanted it to be clear because I felt based on some of the feedback during the interview and people I spoke to after, alimony's never going away. And anybody thinks that's about to happen, you're dreaming and you're in for a rude awakening when you wake up, because there are plenty of people who have put their career behind, and let's call it what it is, typically, although times are changing, but typically it's mom. Mom and dad make a deal. They're two educated people, let's say. Both could do a lot with their careers. Mom says, okay, I'm going to raise the kids. You work on your career. And then when the kids reach a certain age that they're a little more self-sufficient, what have you, then you're going to support me and my career. And then Mr., for whatever reason, says to himself, I'm done. That woman, that mom deserves that alimony. Now she's 40, 45 years old. She's been out of the workplace for 10, 15, 20 years. She's starting from scratch. That's why alimony exists. It's not fair.